There's a conversation that has been going on since yesterday, and it's the conversation of gas.
Yeah.
And how gas has dropped. In fact, as of this morning, it is close to almost half of what it was a couple of months ago.
Last month or 2 months ago.
Or 2 months ago. And a lot of people have been giving different hot takes.
My take, since it's hot takes, let me bring my own. It might be hot or cold. I don't think it really has anything to do with subsidy removal. I think it has more to do with market forces and the global trend, where you know that at a certain period in the year, based on demand, and other forces around the market, the cost of gas usually goes up. And there are times when it comes down. But now we're so, into the subsidy discussion.
That everything is either
everybody's now paying attention to.
I think that yes, I agree that a lot of people didn't used to pay attention to these things before.
Yeah.
And remember when we were talking about it yesterday, and I'm like, I remember very well when I was younger, how by October my mom would go and buy 2-3 cylinders, fill it up, because she's like that when it's close to December. That's when the prices start, and then so by the time she's gone through all those cylinders, the price would come down. But shouldn't, especially gas, that if I remember correctly, we do not import gas.
Yeah, but again,
so shouldn't there be a little bit more stability with those things, with that?
You know that the government of President Buhari, former President Buhari, started something called the decade of gas, which is about ramping up gas production, and distribution and usage,
which will definitely drop the price. There's more supply.
When you talk about the domestic requirements for gas, everybody has them in cylinders.
Yeah, I remember they were even gifting out cylinders and all that.
Yeah, we're talking about how some of your cylinders are even expired.
Yeah.
And it's true. Some of you have had those cylinders for 20 years or so. You fix them when you notice, but they're saying some of them are expired. So the government was giving out cylinders and everything. And they were also talking about converting cars. That gas, especially the commercial vehicles, especially the buses and the trucks and everything, that gas is supposed to be cleaner and cheaper.
Yeah.
And that was 2021, 2022, 2023. I felt that by now,
we would have done a lot more
most
on
of
that
the
conversation.
midstream, downstream people would have actually keyed into this gas discussion.
I even felt that
and it would have
when
been
it came to maybe, it would have even been easier for things like
removing subsidy would not be a problem if people know that they could buy gas into their car.
It's very interesting. Someone was talking about how her driver came to work. I saw a video where she was talking about her driver came to work early, and they were like, how was transport? And he was like, no, that he didn't have a problem with it. He took BRT, I think he said from Orile to Lekki or something.
Yeah, like 400 naira.
400 naira.
Yeah.
That she was shocked. Like,
I think you told me that story.
That is BRT that he took. So the fuel subsidy removal did not affect.
Yeah, because it's diesel.
Those things.
Diesel.
It was, which I felt that for somewhere like Lagos, that they already have a system like that. Like you were saying, the transition to gas, those mass transit buses would have been a perfect.
Exactly. Because again, I know Lagos State started this package with Owando or one of these companies. And
I think it was for their electric buses.
They have electric buses. But it's the same way, we can do this mass movement now and try to do more conversions. Some people even went for training that were going to help people convert their vehicles.
Exactly. I thought that there were going to be a lot more talks about it now.
That is not happening now. So it's time for the government to go and look at this decade of gas that President Buhari's government started and really look at it, ramp it up and say, you know what, you could actually get gas to drive your car. It's cheaper and it's cleaner. So this is one of the things. The other thing, is that, I know you were looking at that story. I don't know if you're going to talk about it or not, but it's in Katsina. They said that the government is maintaining the cost of transportation.
Yeah.
That they told the transport system, the transport company to make sure that nothing goes up and all of that. I'm like, oh, come on, it's diesel you people are using now. Because
so
again,
it doesn't change anything.
Yeah, but again, they know how exploitative people can
be. Now, I'm talking about states. There's a report that I saw from Kwara State right now, and Kwara State had talked about how for the meantime, there's going to be a 3-day work day for state servants and not. Now
we need to explain that. It's not that they're only working 3 days a week in Kwara and everything shuts down. They're going to work from Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
But the supervisors, the directors, the senior staff will select people who will come on which days.
Yes,
so
basically
you have shifts,
alternate days of working. Now, this is where my problem lies. And this is what happens every single time. When you hear all these things, which I think is a very nice thing, but it still goes back to, it's only state civil servants that enjoy this.
Yeah.
The private sector, and whether we like it or not, the larger chunk of people, except maybe you're in Osun State or, a few states, most states, or if you try that one in Lagos, it's literally not going to make a lot of difference. Because what's the percentage of the people that work in the private sector and what's the percentage of people that work with the state?
You take it again from the state's perspective. For them now, they can tell you now that, look, instead of you working 20 days a week, a month, now you're working 12 days a month.
Mm-hmm.
You have 8 days off. I don't need to increase your salary.
Okay.
You can take it from the state's perspective that I've made your life easier.
Okay. So invariably, you're kind of getting paid more for doing less.
Do you get?
Okay.
So that it's at the end of the day, it
balances out.
It's balanced
instead of increasing your salary.
Instead of,
but even if there was an increase,
the wage bill,
it would still be state.
Yeah, it's the state that would now.
That's what I'm saying. But it's still only state services.
The federal government, because we all know that this Tinubu's government is going to increase the.
There's conversation of.
They're going to increase the minimum wage.
Yes.
They said don't even call it a living wage. They're going to increase salaries. So we have that conversation going that they're going to increase salaries. We know that for a fact. So the instant they increase salaries, the state governments will be under pressure. They're going to be under pressure to meet up. Like even the 30K that they are on, and people are saying, man, it's too small.
There's some states
and some people they can't afford to pay it. Even when it was 18,000 or whatever it was, the federal government had to bail them out at least once. I don't want to say twice, but I know at least once that they were bailed out by the federal government. So now you're asking them to now go higher. So the thing that Kwara has done should be studied and looked at. When I heard it a few minutes ago, I just said to myself, wow, this is smart. Because again, before you started telling me about, I'm telling you that I have reduced the number of times you are coming to work. Yeah. So I don't want to hear. But I'm still saying that it affects only the. Yeah, again, that's where you need to look at it from the state's perspective.